I'm pretty much the same like every day, like structured on how I do things. So when something is kind of like out of sync, it like I'm like, man, like if I misplace it, I know that it's gonna be in a few different places because I do the same type of thing, especially working. And I was like, man, I cannot believe. And then I was like, I can't believe I lost my wallet.
Like, if you're like me, I do not like going to the bank. I don't like going to the bank. Like, y'all, it's so funny. I hate going to the bank. Like, I will do mobile deposit with any check that I get. I will stop at an ATM if I have to, but I don't like to get out and go inside. I just do not.
Welcome to another episode of Elevating Entrepreneurs. I am your co-host, DeConte Allen.
And I am Shanae Allen.
Man, it's been a minute, y'all, but we finally done made it back.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to say, you know, we've both been busy.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So we'll just take that, chop it up as that. We've been pretty busy, but nevertheless, we finally able to do a quick session to kind of get y'all this podcast out. You know, we got so many different topics, so many different things we want to share. So we just trying to, you know, really get it. Y'all let us know how y'all like the little set. You know, wifey kind of did a thing, and yeah, so we trying out a new setting. It's dope.
Let me know what y'all think.
Yep. So as y'all can see from the title, the topic that's at hand is lost wallet. Now what? So, I guess it's been maybe about maybe you think about 2 months?
No, it ain't been that long.
Month and a half?
About a month.
I don't know. Some time done passed by.
You think so?
You know what? It maybe I don't know. So anywhere
since
from
we done
about
a podcast, or since you lost your wallet?
since I lost my wallet.
Yeah, it ain't been that long.
Yeah, so we'll say maybe a month and a half, you know, a month and some change, something like that. So what happened was I was working, and when I left the job, when I finished up that job, I got back home and I realized I didn't have my wallet. And so I was like, oh man. So generally it will fall like out my pocket, you know, right in the side door. And this particular time when I went out to check, I didn't see it there. So I was like, oh no, I done lost my wallet. And so I'm looking, I knew I didn't bring it in the house. And so I'm looking like throughout my work vehicle, I'm checking it. I'm looking, I do not see it, you know, and sometimes I'll like, you know, move it in a different place, put it somewhere else outside of what I'm accustomed to doing. But it wasn't in none of those places. And I was like, oh man, I done lost my wallet. So I called my wife. I was like, and I forgot where you was. She was out that particular day doing something. And so I called and I was like, hey, sweetie, I'm going to go back up to the job I was working just to see if by any chance it fell, you know, because I was thinking like, so it might have fell just out the truck. And so if it was on the ground, it had been up there a minute. So I was like, surely somebody has it. And I was like, but hopefully if somebody, by the grace of God, found it and just kept it, returned, you know, not returned it, but something. So I was like, oh my goodness. So long story short, I didn't find it. I did not find my wallet. And so from that point, I went into like the mode of what do I need to go ahead and cancel cards and all that.
So I'm going to stop you there. So that's when it comes up to like, in the event that you lose your wallet and it has like all your important cards in there, your debit cards, your credit cards, you know, your ID, all of that stuff, what is your first step? What do you do then?
Yeah.
So like he was saying with the canceling of the cards, nowadays with technology, you don't have to cancel your card right at that second. You can go in and most of your cards for, you know, your debit cards or whatever, you can go in and lock your cards. Mm-hmm. I know that you can do that with American Express. You can do that with Capital One. Most of the major credit card companies you can do that with. So I would say lock your cards first and then give yourself a day or so to see if you can find your wallet before canceling everything because that's a hassle.
What you say?
Not everybody is as quick as American Express. American Express, the next day you got a card. Bank cards, most of the time you can actually go to the bank and they'll print you out another card. But, with other credit cards, it's just kind of a hassle ordering everything all over again. So we're here to help you with those steps and to see, like, in the event that you lose your wallet, what's next? What steps should I take? What should I do? So
Crucial.
what'd you
Crucial.
do, babe?
It was crucial, man. I did not want to cancel right away, so all of them I could freeze. Like she was like, "Well, did you freeze your cards or this, that, and the other?" So I was like, "Yeah, I freezed a few of them that had the option to where I could freeze it." And fortunate enough, and it was a great learning experience because I was like, "Man, some cards don't have that option to freeze it. They only have to report it lost or stolen." And so I was like, "Man," so. Um, I was kind of reluctant because my business relies heavily on like my business credit and different credit accounts that I have and stuff like that and how I move, let alone my personal stuff. So I was like, man, and so I just so happened to lose it on a Tuesday. So Wednesday in our area, the ID places are closed. So I couldn't go to the DMV and get another ID. I still had to wait. So I was just praying that I didn't get pulled over because I still had jobs I had to do. But I also had some inventory that I needed because based off the jobs I had, I didn't have certain inventory. So I was like, man, I can't go to the bank to make a withdrawal because they're gonna ask me for my ID. I was like, but what do I do? Fortunate enough, I added my wife on two of my business credit accounts. And she's an authorized user on there, and that's just perfect. Which is Lowe's and Home Depot. And so she had her card, so I was able to get her cards to actually go and get some inventory items I needed so I could complete my job. So that was a great, great plus.
So that's okay. So that y'all need to take notes for that. So I always have someone else as an authorized user on your major cards that you know that you can't run your business successfully without them.
Yeah.
So you always want to have where you'll have either that person who can come in the clutch, you know what I mean? So because it's just like he was saying, he wasn't able to do anything without, having those cards or anything like that. Another thing, as far as your ID, if you do not have your ID and you can't get another one within the same day, you can always use your passport.
If you have one.
If you have one, then you can use your passport. But me too, I always take a picture of my ID
Yeah.
and keep it in my phone.
Yeah, and which I did have that. So if push came to shove, I could have, at least. But sometimes that may be like, but for the
Yeah.
most part, you at least have something to show that you have an unexpired ID.
And then that goes to another thing. Like, if you're like me, I do not like going to the bank. I don't like going to the bank.
She sure don't.
Like, y'all, it's so funny. I hate going to the bank. Like, I will do mobile deposit with any check that I get. I will stop at an ATM if I have to, but I don't like to get out and go inside. I just do not. But the negative part to that is your bank does not know you.
Yeah, yeah. Real quick. So ironically, like maybe like a week, I think a week before that, ironically, there was I was at the bank and I was trying to see about doing that account for the church. And so while I was there, this guy lost his ID. And so he was saying that he was like, I think he had like an expired ID, and so he usually banks with a different PNC. It was a PNC bank. It usually banks with a different PNC bank, but she was like, if we were more familiar with you, or if we knew you, then we would be able to, kind of assist you. She was like, but I would, just go to the branch that you're more commonly, used to going to, because they know you. But because of our safety measures and stuff like that, she was like, unfortunately, we can't do, even though he say, he had an ID, but it was expired, but I was like, man, so, what she's saying, that's key.
So the familiar, for them being familiar with you can help you out a great deal in case you're in any kind of bind or anything. They know your face. They can put a face to the name. Worst case, they can run back the cameras and be like, okay, well, this is such
So
and
do
such.
your bank know you since you don't go?
They do not. My bank does not know me. They don't.
So you need to build on your relationship.
Well, let me rephrase that. I have more than one bank. Now, my credit union knows me because even though we live this far, I still drive all the way across town to go to that particular credit union. I just feel more comfortable there. And, I'm just used to working with them. So I do drive across town to, my old neighborhood to go to that branch just because I just feel more comfortable there. But as far as my business bank, no, they do not know me. And it's kind of like I need to work on that because that will help you out in any case of, in the case of anything happening or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna ask you. So I had took a few notes, like kind of just the flow of how I actually experience things and some of the things I learned. Can you still function with your personal finances and your business finances if you lost your wallet? Like how quick you think you can bounce back from it, or as far as like making moves and doing what you got to do?
Honestly, if I was to lose my wallet, it would be a mess because I have everything on auto pay.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things I learned.
So if I have to freeze or cancel my cards, I have to go back and reset all of those auto pays. But really, I gotta go call everybody and be like, hey, I lost my card. So I have to call all this stuff that I have to pay on a regular. And then that's the thing too, I don't know when the stuff is due. So I'm gonna have to go look at every bill that I have and see, okay, this due date is this day. So to see if I'm gonna be able to correct it before the time for it to come out. So that's something to think about too. So that's the only thing, computers have kind of made us a little lazy. Me, I'm very forgetful when it comes to paying certain stuff, especially a water bill. If we had to rely on me to pay the water, and just go on there and pay it every month, we'd get a notice. Because I don't know why I have this in my mind that water's supposed to be free.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I be like not even thinking about, I will pay everything else and not think about the water and be like, oh, but fortunate enough, now you can put the water on auto pay too.
Really?
That's our kids, y'all.
Just won't do right. Anyway, so talking about that water thing, I feel the same way, because if it's something that's a necessity for survival, why do we gotta pay for that? Just like air should be not should be free, but is free. Anyway, so that's a whole nother ordeal. Should be funded by the government or whatever, if that whatever. Anyway, but that was one of the things I ran into. Like everything that I have my card set up for, I was finding out very quickly that I couldn't function the way that I'm used to functioning. One of the cool things was, since you got the digital options now where you can use like Apple Pay, Google Pay, those type of things and stuff like that. So I was able to, like, say I wanted to get something to eat. If they had Apple Pay, I was able to still function out of that because those I had one of the Apple credit card, and so the cool thing about that, losing it, they could swipe it, but you could freeze it or whatever, so they can't do anything with it. But it doesn't have any numbers on it, so they couldn't go online and shop or anything like that. So I thought that was dope. And but I was able to still kind of get lunch, do things, outside of that aspect. American Express allow you to still use your digital aspect of it, but freeze it
Freeze the hard
from
copy.
like online and the hard, yeah, stuff like that. So it was cool, to be able to see that I could still kind of maneuver. I also, having a online business credit like Amazon business credit, I was still able to, I could,
Utilize that.
essentially make orders and stuff. And, if like replacement cards will come in, I could still function until the replacement cards get in, and stuff like that. But yeah, for the most part, man, it was, man. Look, and it. So I did eventually, actually, I found my wallet like the next day, and I called my wife. I said, "Babe, you are not going to believe this." And so what happened was, I was on the job and I opened my door. And so you remember I said it's one of the places where sometimes I'll unconsciously put something, and that I could not be aware that I do it. I'll sit my phone just like above on the shelf and I'll leave it, but I'll know that I set it there. But this time I think I set the wallet there for whatever reason, but it fell, and it fell like right between like my tool bag in a way, and my tool bag was black, my wallet's black, and so I couldn't see it that night, but I ain't see it that day or nothing. And I was like, I'm so I'm pretty much the same like every day, like structured on how I do things. So when something is kind of like out of sync, it like I'm like, man, like if I misplace it, I know that it's going to be in a few different places because I do the same type of thing, especially working. And I was like, man, I cannot believe. And then I was like, I can't believe I lost my wallet. But I found it and I was like, whoo. But I had already canceled like 3 or 4 cards. I thank God I didn't cancel all of them because I just had a feeling that I was going to possibly find it. But I did want to give myself an opportunity to locate it. So that's why we recommend freezing it first before you just go out canceling everything.
So another thing that I just found out not too long ago is the same thing with if you lose your phone and you have a lot of digital cards on your Apple Pay. So now that's the reason why you should always have a lock code on your phone.
Absolutely.
Because I was watching something and the girl, well, it was a lady. She lost her phone. They changed the password and locked her out of all of her stuff.
Wow.
So now people have access to all of your cards.
Man, that's wild.
So even if you can go on there and lock them, they could go on there and unlock them. So what they did was when they first got her phone, they went in and changed all her passwords to every one of her bank accounts.
What?
So whoever did this, they was on it.
Yeah, they probably set up their own Face ID and went
They
to work.
did. They set up everything.
Goodness.
Like they went in and put a password on her phone to where she couldn't get in. They changed the Apple ID
Because
so
she didn't
couldn't
have a
get.
password set to get in. And
Well,
she
you always have Apple ID, but they found. I guess I don't know if it was somebody who saw her put it in or
Yeah.
whatever, but they changed her Apple ID so she couldn't get in. Then they went on the bank accounts and changed every single
and went to work.
cleaned her out.
My.
So it's nice to have that option of digital pay and things like that, but you want to make sure you have that extra security on your phone and that nobody's watching you when you're putting in your information on your phone.
Man, look at here. Ooh,
And then like even with, allowing people, strangers, to use your phone,
yeah,
that's another thing.
yeah,
They're using your phone, but you thinking that they talking on the phone and they dialing numbers, and the whole time they're sending themselves money from your accounts.
man.
That's another thing that I seen. It
Yeah.
was a
Oh,
lady talking about that.
you remember the story? No, I don't know if I might have shared it with you. It was a guy. I think he was a technician, and he used the customer phone like I want to say it might have bbeen with
Oh,
who I used to work for.
yeah.
But anyway, it was, I forgot where it happened. It wasn't in our area, but anyway, so the tech had got the phone, the customer phone, and they supposed to be doing like the registration or helping the customer register. Pulled up Cash App and cashed app himself like $50, and the customer of course found out, and so he's like, I'll pay it back, this, that, and the other. Of course they fired him. I think the press charges because that's
Yes.
thievery. You know what I'm saying? And
And
I
they
was
have
like,
like brand.
man,
They
look,
have people doing that too. Like, it was another situation with a girl, and a guy was trying to, to holler at her or whatever, and he was like, "Let me
yeah,
put my number in your phone." Cashed app himself $2,000.
wow.
Ain't put no number in there or nothing.
That's wild. But these are some things that you just have to be mindful of, and fortunate enough for me, I did find my wallet, and it was within the confinements of my personal things, and so that was great. So I didn't have to go through, any other hiccups. But I will say, I did learn that a lot of the banks, not all banks, but some banks, they will reprint you a debit card right there at their location at the local branch. So I think I bank with Regions, and so not all regions do it, but some of them do, and one of which I had already canceled like a couple of those debit cards, and because I couldn't freeze them for whatever reason, I thought that was weird, but they didn't have the option to freeze them. I think on the business side, the personal I was able to freeze it, but the business one I wasn't able to do that. So I don't know why they don't have it like that. So I had went ahead and reported that loss because if somebody got that, I did not need them having direct access to my business checking or savings. And I was just like, man, look. And so I went ahead and reported those. But when I went to the branch I had to make a deposit because I couldn't make a deposit at the ATM like I usually do because I didn't have my card. And so when I went there, I asked them, I said, I actually seen somebody walking back. They had replaced their car. I said, hey, do y'all replace cards here at the branch? She was like, yeah. I was like, for business accounts as well? She was like, yeah. I was like, awesome. She was like, did you need one? I was like, well, I already kind of, did the process. And so, but she was like, yeah, we do it. So that was something that I learned. And so I thought it was cool because it was like we were able to kind of, really think about like how we do our lives day to day, but in the event something unfortunate happens, like losing a wallet, we don't think about just how major that can be and how much that'll impact, the flow of our day to day. And so we just, man, we had a conversation about it. We was like, man, we got to talk about it.
Yes.
Yep.
So first things first, if you lose your wallet, you want to go ahead and freeze everything.
Yeah.
You want to freeze everything that you can, and those that you can't freeze, you want to go ahead and cancel them.
Yeah.
Anything that you have to cancel, you want to make sure that you don't have any direct debits coming out, any subscriptions, any auto pays, any of that stuff. You want to make sure you don't have any of that coming out. And if you do, you want to call those institutions as well to, let them know what's going on and either switch the information over or basically, take it off of that so you won't get, those insufficient fund fees that, are associated with some of those.
Yeah.
So you do want to do that.
Man,
But yeah.
I had a couple of that because one of my cards was they had like payments that automatically come out, and so I was getting like reverse payments. I was get it was just, and it was just stuff that I've been, it's been like that so long, and I was just like, man, and it was just like messing things up, and I had to like make calls and tell them I had to, fortunate enough I found my wallet, and so I was able to, you know, process it using a different way, like my actual checking account number, versus the debit card and stuff. So it was a mess. I did one other thing before we finished giving them the full layout recap. Um, would you recommend getting a second ID?
I've never thought about that.
Yeah, the only reason I thought about it is because of what I experienced
A
in those
duplicate
2
copy.
days.
So I think a duplicate copy would be smart, but I would probably only do that. I wouldn't do it because I have a passport. But if you do not have a passport and you need your cards and stuff like that to function, then I would say so.
Yeah. As I wouldn't recommend like getting another ID and like leaving it in the car, because if someone steals the car or if somebody breaks in the car, then that's
Yeah,
gonna
but
put
you
you in a
leave it at
situation.
home with your
Yeah,
personal items like your Social Security card.
yeah.
Another thing, I realized that some people ride around with their Social Security card in their purse or wallet. That is not a good idea.
Why not?
It's not a good idea. You should
Well,
never.
not in the car, but it can
I mean,
be
in
like
your
in your
wallet.
wallet.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's never a good idea to have all that personal information in one spot.
yeah. But
That's like, just like that case you lost your wallet. They got your Social Security number and your ID now.
yeah, and so these are some measures that we could take. Like I know, I think I used to have my Social Security card and all that just in there. Because it was a part of like if I needed it, it'd be like you got your social, here you go. But you really don't nowadays really need it unless if you do, you can always bring it back or something of that nature. But yeah, so step one, freeze your accounts.
Freeze
Yeah. Step two.
check with all your institutions that you might have not Apple Pay, automatic pay or direct debits or any of that might be coming out because you don't want to get those extra charges for reverse payments and stuff like that. Because I know a lot of places, if you have a reverse payment, they charge you like $35.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of want to avoid that.
Yeah.
Having to dish out money that you don't really have to.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
What you would
So
say after that?
after that, I'll say work on getting your ID.
Well, and
Getting your
also
new ID.
cancel any cards that cannot be frozen
Yeah. Yeah.
because you just don't want to. You don't want to be like, oh, well, I might find it later, so I'm not gonna cancel it, and then somebody hits you up and take everything, or with a whole bunch of charges.
Yeah, and you can get like a rush delivery on like one of I bank with like my Navy Federal credit card. They asked me if I wanted to like get a rush delivery replacement, and I was like, nah, it's fine. And so, but it still came pretty quick. But they're able to. Some institutions are able to get it pretty quick. So I think you can bounce back pretty quick if you lose it, but I think more proactively if you kind of have like an idea of how everything works, you can really because it kind of happened at a time where I was like, man, I was like I didn't have like the adequate inventory at the time for certain jobs
And
and
I'm like,
stuff.
you need
I
my
was just
cards,
like,
babe.
man, yeah. So she, and fortunate enough, um, my wife, she had my back, so she was like, I got you if you need be, but I'm like, man, what would I have done if I didn't have nothing like what, you know what I'm saying? I'd have been like, man, so it was a stretch, but it was a good experience overall.
Yeah, and I think you bounce back pretty quickly. So
Yeah,
I would say if I had to say how long it took, I would say about a week for the bounce back.
yeah,
That's to get everything back on track, meaning cancel the cards, freeze the canceled cards. They came
hmm.
within a week.
Oh,
The
another thing.
subscriptions, I mean, the auto pays.
Yeah, another thing. So look, y'all, this happened right when we was getting ready to go on vacation.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so I lost my wallet that Tuesday, that Wednesday. Fortunate enough, I found it, but I had canceled some of my cards. But we were leaving, I think that Thursday or Friday, Thursday, I think. We was leaving out for vacation that Thursday. So I was like, man, I ain't gonna have my ID. I'm not gonna have any money to do, whatever. So I was
You
just
always
like,
got money,
man,
baby.
yeah. But I was like, fortunate enough, you know what I'm saying. We a unit, you know what I'm saying. So, but person, as a man, I'll be like, man, I gotta, something, but whoo, that was tough. I was like,
The only thing
man,
I was really
no.
worried about was with the ID. Then I was like, oh, he got a passport, so we
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
But he ended up finding it, so it worked
Yeah,
out.
it worked out. It worked out. So I thank God for that, man, because I was like, whoo. But yeah, so we just wanted to give y'all that check in. We been missing podcasting, and we be talking about it a lot. It was just really sitting down to really knock it out, and so we came to y'all today.
All right.
Yep. So make sure y'all give us a follow on the podcast at Elevating Entrepreneurs on all the platforms. Just type in Elevating Entrepreneurs. You'll see the logo of it and everything. And just give us a follow on whichever platform that you listen to podcasts on. Make sure you follow me at I am underscore DeConte on Instagram and YouTube as well. That's what you'll find the podcast on currently. And
And you can follow me at she. Well, I might as well spell it because everybody don't get it. But it's at SHE underscore SSUCHADOLL. She's such a doll. And give me a follow. I do follow back.
yes. All right, y'all. Well, until the next episode, y'all be blessed. We will catch y'all then.